Now our next question for trade payable turnover ratio. It is saying from the following information, and following information is average payment period is given, credit purchases are given. You have to calculate opening creditors and closing creditors. If opening creditors are 25% of closing creditors. So again equation is given. So first we will write the formula for average payment period. Average payment period is equal to, and you can observe that average payment period is given in the terms of months also. So because it is given in terms of months, so here in the formula I will be writing number of months only divided by trade payable turnover ratio. Trade payable turnover ratio. Now it will be is equal to average payment period is given 4 months is equal to 12 upon trade payable turnover ratio, and then it will be trade payable turnover ratio is equal to 12 divided by 4. It will be is equal to 3 months. Sorry, 3 times. Trade payable turnover ratio will be equal to 3 times. So now we know the ratio. We can use the formula of trade payable turnover ratio. So trade payable turnover ratio, or I should copy it. Is equal to net credit purchases upon average trade payables. Now, two of the variables we know. One is trade payable turnover ratio, so it is actually 3 times. It will be equal to net credit purchases are also given in the question. It is equal to 6 lakh divided by average trade payables. Average trade payables. This is unknown. So now with the help of this, we can calculate average trade payables. Average trade payables will be equal to 6 lakh divided by 3, and it will be 2 lakh. So average trade payables are 2 lakh. Now we can put the formula of average trade payables. It is opening trade payables plus closing trade payables divided by 2 is equal to 2 lakh. And that's why it will become opening trade payables plus closing trade payables is equal to 4 lakh. This 2 will be cross multiplied by this 2 lakh and it will become 4 lakh. So we got an equation with the help of the information given in the question. Now second information is given in the question itself that we will use, and that is given opening creditors are. So opening trade payables is equal to 25% of closing creditors. 25% of closing creditors. So it will be 25 closing creditors multiplied by 25 upon 100. So that will become 0.25 closing creditors or closing trade payables, we can say it. So now I will be using this value in the equation, and I can write, instead of writing opening trade payables, I can write it now 0.25 closing trade payables plus closing trade payables is equal to 4 lakh. So now I have converted this equation into a single variable. It will be becoming closing trade payables is equal to 4 lakh divided by 1.25. So if I will solve it, if I will remove the decimal, in the numerator 2 more zeros will be added. So it will become 4 crores. And in denominator now it will be 125. Now I can cut it short with the help of 5. It will become 80 lakh upon 25. Again I can cut it with the help of 5. It will become 16 lakh upon 5. And if I will cut it further, it will become closing trade payable is equal to 3,20,000. So this way I have got closing trade payable is equal to 3,20,000. Now I can use it in this equation. Opening trade payable is equal to closing trade payable multiplied by 25 upon 100. So 25% of it will be 1 upon 4. So it will become 80,000. So this way we have calculated the opening and closing trade payables or opening and closing creditors with the help of the information given in the question. So you will find that almost all the questions are same regarding trade payables turnover ratio and trade receivable turnover ratio, and some similarities also there with inventory turnover ratio. So if you will practice at least one of them properly, you will be able to attempt many of the questions, many of the ratios. Now coming to the next topic, working capital turnover ratio, and this is the last ratio in activity ratios. Then we will be covering 3 types of ratios. See, working capital turnover ratio is revenue from operations upon working capital. Revenue from operations upon working capital. In the first formula, when we have started the ratio analysis, I told that there is a ratio called current ratio. Current ratio is also called working capital ratio. At that time, I also warned you that don't get confused between working capital ratio and working capital turnover ratio. Working capital ratio is current ratio, that is current assets upon current liabilities. However, working capital turnover ratio is revenue from operations upon working capital. So in examinations, be particular about the terms used. If question is asking working capital ratio, then you need to calculate current ratio actually. And one other confusing term was liquid ratio and liquidity ratio. So liquid ratio is a part of liquidity ratio. So if question is asking liquidity ratios, then actually you have to calculate current ratio as well as liquid ratio. So be particular about the names and terms. Now how you will get revenue from operation? So revenue from operation will be available in statement of profit and loss if you are calculating it for your project work. And then working capital, you can select current assets total and current liabilities total in the balance sheet. You will get it easily. And you have also calculated current ratio. There also you have written value of current assets and current liabilities. So you can easily calculate your working capital. Now, what is the purpose of working capital turnover ratio? It aims to determine the efficiency in the use of working capital of the enterprise. How efficiently you are using your working capital ratio, that will be measured by a working capital turnover ratio. This ratio can also be calculated with cost of revenue from operations. If suppose in question cost of revenue from operation is given, revenue from operation is not given, and you don't have any clue regarding calculation of revenue from operation, means no other such information is given that it will enable you to calculate revenue from operation, then in numerator, instead of keeping revenue from operation, you will write cost of revenue from operation. You can also calculate this ratio in exceptional circumstances with the help of cost of revenue from operations. It shows the efficiency in the use of the entire working capital. So if you want to observe how entire working capital is used, how much efficiently it is used in the business, then you can calculate working capital turnover ratio. Okay, now see this question number 35. Working capital turnover ratio we have to calculate in this question. And first we will write the formula working capital turnover ratio is equal to revenue from operations. Always write the formula again, I am saying, and whenever you are writing the formula, just recite it also. The more you will write, the more you will recite, you will be able to learn the formula properly. Revenue from operation upon working capital. Revenue from operation upon working capital. Yes, let's see. It's good that you are solving. Now it will be is equal to now revenue from operation is given 12 lakh, but working capital we have to calculate. Okay, so first we will write the information given in the question itself so that it will become easy for the examiner to check the question. Revenue from operation is given 12 lakh. And now I need to calculate working capital. So working capital is current assets minus current liabilities, but current liabilities are not given here. Total assets are given, shareholder fund and non-current liabilities given. So if you remember that balance sheet, you will be able to calculate current liabilities. Current liabilities is equal to total assets minus shareholder fund minus non-current liabilities. So total assets are 8 lakh minus shareholder fund is 2 lakh and non-current liability is 4 lakh. So it will become 2 lakh. So your current liabilities will become 2 lakh. Now you have got the value of current liability, so you will be able to calculate working capital easily. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. So your working capital will be is equal to current assets are given 5 lakh and current liabilities are given, now we have calculated 2 lakh. So that way our working capital will be is equal to 3 lakh. So now I will calculate working capital turnover ratio. Is equal to revenue from operation is 12 lakh divided by working capital 3 lakh. So it will be 4 times. The answer will be 4 times. In the same manner, we will be doing the next question. It is saying calculate working capital turnover ratio from the following information. This time credit revenue from operation is given, cash revenue from operation is given. So both types of revenue from operation is given. So we can calculate total revenue from operation. Sales return is also given. So we have to deduct sales return. Only then we will be able to calculate revenue from operations properly. Then current assets are given. Trade receivables are given. Now trade receivable itself is part of current assets. So we don't need to consider trade receivables separately. And current liabilities are also given. So we will consider only current assets minus current liabilities. So sometimes you may get this type of information, just avoid that. Current assets obviously include trade receivables. So we don't need to consider trade receivable. Now first thing, I will write the formula here for working capital turnover ratio. And then I will start the question. Only formula will guide you how to proceed in the question. Now, okay, first I will calculate revenue from operation. Revenue from operation is equal to cash revenue from operation plus credit revenue from operation minus sales return. If you have less time in exams, then proceed in a manner that you will be able to save your time and complete your question. Give priority to your solution. But as much as you can, try to present your answer properly. Now, cash revenue from operation is 14 lakh. Then credit revenue from operation is 18 lakh. And sales return are 2 lakh. So 18 plus 4, 22 plus 10, 32 minus 2. So it will be rupees 30 lakh. So your revenue from operation is 30 lakh. Now we will calculate working capital. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. One more thing you can do in exams, you always get some paper reading time. So whenever you read your paper, just observe the formula or ratio which has been asked. And because in the beginning you will be remembering each and everything, the moment you observe that this ratio has been asked, try to recall the formula which you have to use in that ratio so that you will be able to remember it properly till last. And the moment you get uh, your writing time started, you just write it in some rough work so that you will not forget this formula till you reach there to attempt that question. So you can just write down your notes fast in 1-2 minutes in a rough manner, and then you can start your paper. So this is also a trick to get through. Okay. Now current assets are given. I hope this point is also clear why I am not considering trade receivable. Current assets are given rupees 7 lakh and current liabilities are given rupees 3 lakh. So your current working capital will be is equal to 4 lakh. So now I have calculated both of the variables. Revenue from operation I get to know and working capital also I know. So now I will put the values in the equation in the formula. Is equal to 30 lakh divided by 4 lakh. So if you are feeling that this calculation is big enough and I will not be able to solve it without calculator, then you can cut it short. You just start writing after eliminating the common parts. Like in the numerator there are 6 zeros and in the denominator there are 5 zeros. So 5 zeros will be eliminated and it will remain only 30 upon 4. Now it has been made very easy and you can calculate it directly also. But sometimes even if you are not feeling comfortable, you can further cut it with the common factor. Like it can be divided by 2. So it can become 15 by 2. Now you can simply divide it by 2 and it will come 7.5 times. 7.5 times. So never forget to write this suffix also, that in what terms you are expressing the ratio. If you are expressing it in pure terms, then it will be 7.5 ratio 1. If you are expressing it in percentage terms, obviously if it would have been multiplied by 100, it will come in percentage terms. So don't forget to put percentage here. If you are calculating times, then mention times. So your answer should be complete. If you will write only 7.5, that is not considered as complete answer. So be careful about these things also, and make a habit of writing each and everything neat and clean properly, so that you will be, see, if you will practice these things in a neat and clean manner, in a fair manner, then you will not waste your time in exams. Your speed will be there accordingly, because it will increase over the time. In the starting, maybe it may be time consuming, but later on you will feel that my speed is there. I have a proper speed with proper presentation also. And it will make you more clear about the concepts also. When you are writing things neat and clean, you will be much clear about the concepts also. Okay, so this way we have completed our turnover ratios. So till now, we have covered two liquidity ratios. One is current ratio and one is liquidity ratio. We have covered four solvency ratios: debt equity ratio, total assets to debt ratio, propriety ratio, and interest coverage ratio. And then we have covered four of the activity ratios: inventory turnover ratio, trade receivable turnover ratio, trade payable turnover ratio, and working capital turnover ratio. So 4 plus 4, 8 plus 2, 10 ratios we have covered till now. Only one type of ratios now left, that is profitability ratios. So that we will be doing. But I came to know that some of the students are feeling problem in proceeding now, how to proceed in accounts. They are not getting any way because in starting they have missed some content, or they have left it some content at that time they were not taking classes seriously. I will say decide and start from somewhere, and this third book is very easy to get started into. You can start from the first chapter, then comparative statement, common size statement. These are very easy chapters. It will give you a good start. These chapters are also there in your UT2 exams, so it will help you there also. And within 3-4 days we will be finishing this chapter. Then we will be starting revision of issue of shares. At that time you can start revision of issue of shares with me also. So that will give you a way to proceed into the accounts. But right now the important part is that you just start from the first chapter of third book, that is financial statements of companies, and try to cover these 3 chapters at least. And the ratio which I will be starting now, you can do with me these ratios also. The best practice is that whatever you have missed, leave that. Whatever you can do right now with the class, whatever has been covered on the daily basis in the class in any subject, try to cover that. Try to cover the simple parts. Try to start from the simple parts, and then by the time you will be able to cover your syllabus, each and every topic properly. Yesterday I have shared some link with you also, and you can attend the webinar. You can revise your concepts. If you will listen, you will get some revision of your topics that will refresh your memory regarding that topics, and it will help you a lot in your exams also. So try to register for that, try to attend that, try to listen. It will be fruitful. Okay, few 2-3 minutes we will spend on this. However, we will be doing this topic in detail tomorrow only. See, gross profit ratio is there, net profit ratio is there, return from investment is there, and 2-3 more ratios are there, like operating ratio, operating profit ratio. These ratios are also there. So we will be calculating about 5 ratios in this topic, and these are also very simple, not that much complicated. But again, the practice is required. If you will do proper practice of these topics, only then you will be able to calculate. I told on that day there are about 200 to 300 questions. If you will solve all the numericals, all the illustrations, and all the unsolved questions, all the exercises given in the book, so only then you will be able to attempt the questions properly in exams. By the time you can also practice for the past question papers that have been come in the board exams. You can download them from internet. You can see what question has come from these topics, which is currently going on in the class, what type of question has been asked, whether I will be able to solve that question, or what problem I am facing. So a lot of practice and lot of hard work you can put, but it needs a lot of sincerity and regularity. So try to find out the ways. And even if you feel some difficulty, we are there. You can contact us.